श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम 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 Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. 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 Sri Ram, Jai Ram,
Just no one.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Hari Om. By concentrating your mind on the sound of the name, the mind absorbs the name and thereafter mental repetition starts. When Ramnam is repeated mentally, the mind becomes gradually still and the repetition stops when the mind is perfect. It does not remain still for a long time, and the moment it is disturbed, repetition of Ramnam starts again. The effort now is to lengthen the period of the stillness. That is, from the time Ramnam stopped till it started again. By constant practice, the duration of the stillness is increased until at last it becomes permanent. By concentrating your mind on the sound of the name, the mind absorbs the name and thereafter the mental repetition starts. When Ramnam is repeated mentally, the mind becomes gradually still and the repetition stops when the mind is perfectly still. It does not remain still for a long time, and the moment it is disturbed, repetition starts again. The effort now is to lengthen the period of the stillness. That is, from the time Ramnam stopped till it started again. By constant practice, the duration of the stillness is increased until at last it becomes permanent. Papa is giving us the clue to make our inward journey, which is very, very important. So when we are asked to spend some time in the morning, say 5 to 10 minutes, we will try this method. So sound, first job is to concentrate on the sound. It is not that difficult, because whenever we hear a song, instead of superficially enjoying it, let us now try to examine what is happening inside. Can you put that Gurudeva Kripa? Gurudeva Kripa. You hear this bhajan now, close your eyes and then see what is happening inside. Let us not be guided by any theory. Let us watch what is happening inside, so that we can slowly stretch this to Ram Nam chanting. We want a technique, you know. We know that, but we don't know. All of us are enjoying. Now you hear this bhajan, which everybody likes now. Lift this. Lift this.
Lift the laptop.
It can immediately follow it. And even if you don't know, it's like this. But you know, so if you distract too much, it loses its influence.
Bola.
100%. Increase the volume there. You are able to hear?
Can you hear?
Yes, Swami, you can hear. Yes, Swami. Very clear.
Acha, now, does this experience teach us something? Do we get some clues?
The sound has got its impact, but the meaning a little explained would be better. It is when it is explicit, but still, once it is explained well, it will be good.
That is right, but what we are trying is, by concentrating our mind on the sound of the name or sound of the bhajan,
Sure.
the mind absorbs, and thereafter the mental repetition starts.
Yes.
Have we been able to try this? No, automatically. That means even we unknowingly our hand or feet, no. Gurudeva Tava Mahaniya Kripa. When we concentrate on these sounds, what really happens, A little concentrated witnessing is necessary. It is happening, but we are not aware. If we come to know what is happening inside, the same methodology can be stretched to any sound. Initially, some preferable sounds, preferable tunes, and later on all sounds. This is what Papa wants us. While chanting the Nam, we say that yesterday's Ram Nam was very good, Papa's tune was very good, somebody's tune was very good. What does it mean? Does it mean that we are identifying ourselves totally with that, whether the mind gets absorbed? We are enjoying, but we are not knowing, no? Suddenly the mind, when we ask after the song, then the intellect steps in and it tries to interpret. That is there, okay. But here what we are trying is whether the mind gets absorbed in the sound.
Sure.
What does everybody think?
Padma aunty.
Mind flows with the tune, with the sound, and then you know what is coming next. Like you want to be with the tune all the time. No other thought is just the right thought.
Uncle, we can't hear you. Sharma uncle.
No, at that time, no other thoughts were affected. What were affected?
No other thoughts at that time.
Yes?
Swamiji,
No.
mind is observing into the sound, no other thoughts and no other things are not coming from it.
Nothing is coming.
Good, then.
The mind gets intertwined with this particular sound, and the intake of, the meaning thereof, not fully, but up, because of the language, and the tune is there, definitely it has got its impact with it.
Yes,
And
yes.
The notion of the sound is supreme.
Yes. Anything else?
Swamiji,
Yes.
Krupa is so much, we can't describe. That much is Avani is too much is described. Can't describe only. Avarnaniya.
Avarnaniya. Inexplicable.
Indescribable?
Yes.
Yes. Then, when the mind is absorbed in the sound, the mind cannot interpret anything. Very good.
We have to realize.
This is what Papa.
We should close our eyes and try to listen it.
This is what Papa wants us to do while chanting Ram Nam, so that we will get the first-hand experience of our true nature. Every time when we chant Ram Nam, there should be. It's not right to say there should be. Whether we are checking up whether the mind gets absorbed in the sound. Now what happens is, partially it absorbs, but not fully. That is why various other thoughts also step in. So we are unable to see the source from which the sound comes. When Papa says, by concentrating your mind on the sound of the name, the mind absorbs the name.
Swamiji, while chanting, when there is a tune, you know what is coming next, and
Huh?
We are following the meaning.
Tune.
Ah.
When we are chanting any name in the slow tune,
In the slow
then
tune.
neither the tune nor the sound. There's something, there is a depth, I can't describe that. The only feeling is
Need
that
not
you want to stay
need not
there.
describe. Anyway, are we going nearer to it? That's all.
The only feeling is that you want to stay in that for more time. That is my only feeling, Swami.
Ah, good.
The only effect I get is that I want to stay there for more.
Yeah. Anyhow, now from yesterday, today, day before yesterday, we have been trying with the slow tuned Ramnam. This aspect is slowly getting highlighted in our mind. What is meant by absorption of the sound? The mind absorbs the name. What does it mean? We are trying to understand it, because that is what Papa wants us to do while chanting. The mind should get totally absorbed in the name, nothing else. And then it will take us, gradually to, it steps up from, it upgrades from the vocal chanting to the mental chanting to the stillness, gradually. And these are, what is the outcome we cannot explain, need not explain. So we will now try with this background, our usual 3 times Ramnam chanting.
Swamiji,
No.
after we stop chanting, our breath is also in the same layer, same way, not normal, but that is becomes visible. I mean, we are perceptible, it becomes perceptible.
Correct. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Ram. Shri Hari Om. Beyond that, we cannot do anything in the collective forum. So let us all try individually and watch whether the mind gets absorbed in the sound. That is the clue Papa gives. And that will lead. We need not now conceptualize what it will lead. The outcome will come by itself. So we will carry on with the chanting in the usual way in all our programs. But at the same time, we will set apart 5 minutes or 10 minutes, preferably in the morning, to exclusively concentrate upon this aspect. When once this gets habituated, even in our congregational chanting, we will be able to watch whether the mind gets absorbed in this sound. This is what Papa has experimented and places before us. Let us try. If that is not suitable, he will prompt us something else. Achha, that means lot of mental control is necessary. The outgoing tendencies of the mind, it is irresistible. So that is why he is making us to go through so many other things, so that the mind gets concentrated upon the various facets of this indwelling reality. That is what we are now doing with the help of the boards. It is not to get stuck with that contents of the theme of the board, But at the same time, that perspective will definitely help us to have some sort of fine-tuning of our mind so that we will be able to proceed inward. So first when he says inner voice, it relates to that. Acknowledgement or recognition of his presence within, and then dispassion towards the attachment, to the relations, to the objects, to the situations. If the mind has got it has got cravings, it is difficult to get this inner voice. And if it is self-centered, it is difficult. Individual life to universal life. Self-centered means again the mind is revolving in my likes and dislikes, rights and wrongs, preferences. And always to have a positive attitude. That helps. And when we open and deal with it, we try to see the signature of the master. Whenever we are confronted with fulfillment and non-fulfillment, we try to see, he has actuated my life, he has got a purpose. These are all hints by which the mind is slowly being trained to take to inward journey. If anything happens, we somehow absorb the shock. Even this will pass away, We have seen so many things in our life. So the mind does not get, riveted to that one particular incident, one particular behavior of a person. These are all stumbling blocks. And we should immediately also recognize that unlike other species, we have been gifted with this wonderful privilege of watching, knowing, fine-tuning, and finally reaching, finally tasting, and then becoming one with him. So periodical prayer and meditation is a must. Then only I will be able to control my mind. And Nama chanting is for remembrance. Every time when we chant Nama, we may not be able to do that, but we try now. Nama chanting is for remembrance. Remembrance of the one who has actuated our life, who has initiated our life, who has been facilitating everything in our life, like that, Whenever there are challenges, we try to listen to the dictates of the conscience. The mind cannot easily get fixed on the formless. So through the form to the formless. When we open our eyes, when we see any object, initially Ishtadevadas, Gurus, and through that we try to remember they stand for the universal aspect. So from the form to the formless. And remembering and revering saints who have scaled the heights. Though it is also an outward thought, it will at least, we remember the saint with this some values. Care should be taken to say later that we don't get attached to that form. We revere, but at the same time not getting attached to that form. Then it is a hindrance. If you worship God outside in any form, your mind is externalized, and from that form it goes to other forms and objects, and your mind remains as distracted and as restless forever. Spiritual progress should be reflected in emotional, intellectual, dynamic nature, not one side. We watch ourselves. We don't lead a contemplative life throughout. As a family being, as a professional being, as a social being, we are involved in various activities. So now we are evaluating for proper mind control and proper becoming fit enough to take to inward journey means it is not one-sided. There should be a comprehensive development. Head, heart and hands, The head, the heart and the hands. All are working simultaneously for its progress. We will be subjected to go through bitter experiences. It is only to teach us the transitoriness of the life. And those who have scaled the heights, they affirm that inward journey alone leads him first to within, then without outside, then everywhere. So paramount important, inward journey. Because that is the only one which makes us aware of his presence within. We are checking up, have we given importance for this during our close association with ashram? That is why we often remember our experience in 68 when we stayed here for 2 months, how Mataji was taking us every day to the Samadhi, Papa's home mandir then, and then we spent about half an hour there, no talk, no chanting, 11 to 11:30 if we remember right. Mataji herself will lead us. At that time we did not know the background, but one thing we were prompted. Prior to that we will read a few lines from the speaks or glimpses, and that will be in our mind. And then afterwards, suppose the mind goes out, we will start mental chanting. Some device by which the mind is centered on God thought.
Solitude. Solitude.
Solitude is a must. Every now and then. That will give us some evaluation. Renunciation is freeing from attachments existing in the mind, not outside only. Because I only know what my cravings are, subtle cravings, desires, ambition. That is the stumbling block. We recognize the value of our body, because it is the platform through which we are now expressing. Even the so-called sadhana we are doing because of this body only. So we give importance, but at the same time not pampering. It has come, it will exist, it will go. It is subject to diseases. So this reality is the vesture, mask, with all its impermanent nature. In this process, we also find that vacillating mind will not help us. Faith is firm, whether our faith is firm. And the world we live in is a school. Because during the non-contemplative moments, I am seeing the world before it. Somewhere in the mind says, this is all, this is not, this is impermanent, all those things, But we refuse to learn the teachings. And when the mind says, I am surrendering, we know that it is fooling me. Because surrender is only total. There is no partial surrender. And whenever things happen for which apparently there is no cause from our side, we get dejected. Immediately we should know, I am working out my prarabdha, karmic triangle. Santushto yena kena jati. Let us try to become content, with what we have. These are all necessary for mind control, which alone can help us when we chant to go to the origin, to the source, the core of our being. And always feeling safe in his hands, because we become suddenly aware, he has actuated my life. And he has been providing everything to me. Then why should I feel unsafe, Again I feel, I think I have to secure myself to. Again we try to remember. You have not started this life. He gave you this life. Does he not know what to do, what is to be provided, what is not to be provided? And every time we know that journey is an expansion. New vistas, new experience, new insights. That we all know now. Every satsang, is unique by itself. Expanding. And Society of Saints is a great help. Every now and then in our case, we remember Papa's golden words, mentally. And finally, spiritual summit is where individualism disappears. This is how when he was back in Panchapandava cave. Beautiful word. Very, very thought-provoking word.
Swamiji.
Huh?
What do you doubt, Swamiji?
1 minute, the last board. Papa's journey that started from Mangalore came a full circle as he finally reached the Pandava caves near the town. To sum up, it was a journey that began in the background of frustration and restlessness, ended in a state of peace and serenity in God remembrance. And Papa's quotation, the soul which is imprisoned within the toils of individualism now attains the bliss of perfect freedom. The soul which is imprisoned within the toils of individualism now attains the bliss of perfect freedom. So from inner voice, again back to the inner voice.
From the struggle and stress to that of serenity. Yes, Swamiji.
Stress to serenity.
Stress to serenity. So in this board, we started with the inner voice. And that to keep up that inner voice, he brought out one by one, about 30 points. And in the end, again he gives us this. Starting with inner voice, because then only our first experience, inner voice means our first experience of his presence within. All of us are not hearing that voice. That voice is there for everybody equally, because he is there. But we have to hear the first inner voice, because that gives you the first-hand experience that he is within. And in the last board, again it is confirmed, the individualism which is imprisoned now attained the bliss of perfect freedom. That means we become aware of his presence. We have handed over the assumed ownership to him, who is the real owner. We have recognized that we are only agents under power of attorney. We are not the absolute owners. He has given us a right to live as an individual, that's all. But we are unaware of it. The moment we become aware, that individualism goes and we become his tools. This is the powerful message Papa gives. And to steadily move toward that, the one prop in that bhajan we got to know, avalambana. The one support, mera bal hai, that is my rakshak, my power. So the inner power is there, we are unaware, we are trying through this, everywhere. Suppose you add one, this is one type of interpretation we read out. Again tomorrow when you go through the boats again, you may get another interpretation. So sum up, let us not get stuck with that. Some clues or symbols are necessary, so that is why we thought from every board we will make one or two words. Let us not get stuck with that. Let us try to explore through our experience. It's a journey, It's a journey, inward journey. Papa wants every one of us to have the taste of his presence within. God's presence within, again. The presence of the subtle and mysterious energy within. So that he has assured us that if we become aware of it within, slowly it will come out to outside and then to everywhere. Which is the real shift from individualism to universalism. Now I confine myself to my individual. I will not confine to my individual, retaining that individual, I say it's a part and parcel of the whole. Just like I have different organs in my body, each one is doing its own unique mission, but the entire instruction is given from one source. So that the identification, the sense organ does not assert its individuality away from the body. Eyes are not ears, eyes are eyes only. Ears are not eyes or any other part. Ears, but even though they have got distinct characteristic, distinct existence, distinct appearance, whether it is the liver, whether it is the brain, whether it is kidney, anything, each one is distinct. But the whole thing is vitalized by one principle. So when that is there, though distinctively they are different, they don't feel separateness. That is why the coordination takes place, and whenever there is no coordination, we find it as disease, and immediately we try to set right. So the individualism God is giving us. That is why Papa used to say the microcosm is the macrocosm. In Thus Speaks first chapter he will say microcosm is the macrocosm. So from here we can try to understand. This is the miniature universe. We don't have to go and search for everything. Everything it is here. The life force is spread from head to toe, That is a small insignificant ant comes somewhere and sits in your body, immediately the skin reports. Immediately you say, something you do by which you try to become free. No? So the life force is pervading, all pervading, throughout the body. We are not aware. But when a need arises, it immediately points out and we do the remedial action. Microcosm is the macrocosm. Individual is the universal.
Swamiji,
Yes?
can I ask,
Huh?
when we are doing the slow chanting and remain for some time, we are one-to-one with our inner self. Once that equation is established, then we will be able to see the dynamism during the transactions and yet still the same oneness, Swamiji. Will that be possible?
You have to repeat the question, Auntie.
I mean that we are doing the slow chanting and establishing our own equation within. And then we will be able to extrapolate that to the outside dynamic transactions.
She's asking, we are making a connection with ourselves. Will we be able to extrapolate it to the outside world?
When once we get that stability, then this question will not come. It is something like, the balance we get from the cycling. We keep on trying, otherwise we will fall. After some time, we don't have the balance. But the moment the balance within is invoked and made explicit and become a part of our life, then absolutely there is no, even when we are not doing the cycling, the balance remains with us at any time, available for us. Similarly, we try to do some exercise by which the mind becomes aware of the source behind it. And if we become consciously aware of it, it will stay there for us at the subconscious level. There won't be.
It will be like screensaver. By default.
We used to remember. Suppose we are attending a program like this, or a drama, or music. We are totally absorbed in that program. We rise ourselves higher than the body. We don't recognize. We are, in Mataji's language, we are away from the Deha Buddhi, at least for a few moments. Suddenly an ant comes or a mosquito comes and sits. Immediately we do that, no? We come down to the Deha Buddhi level. And again we go back to the past. What does it mean? So even when we are not in the Deha Buddhi, there is a subtle awareness at the Deha Buddhi, so that when a need arises, it will immediately point out. Similarly, when we try to, through various exercises, the thought is trying to understand the source, and when it gets stabilized in it, it need not be at the gross level, but any aberration, any dilution, any moving away from it, when it takes place knowingly or unknowingly, the subtle, just like when the ant or the mosquito sits, you are immediately pointed out. It will definitely point out, hey, what are you thinking? What are you doing? What are you talking? so that it pulls you back. This is the tangible gain of any spiritual practice. Whenever unknowingly or knowingly, when I contract to me and mine, in spite of knowing so many things, immediately this, what we have gained during these past moments, it will immediately, what are you talking, man? Because this talking has come from the individual level, no? So anything that is not universal, immediately this experience will teach us. So in other words, our job is to somehow capture this experience and then retain it, and this should be repeatedly doing. We should be repeatedly doing it. And once that balance gets stabilized in us, we are game. That is why he gave a lot of importance for Nama. Unfortunately, we stopped with chanting. That is why we were not able to bring out the whole benefit. And now he finds that it is time for all of us to apply our mind seriously on the chanting, refine it, fine-tune it, so that the real benefit can be had. So this slow chanting or this exercise which we have been prompted to, motivated to do it, every day 5 minutes or 10 minutes, 100% sure, it will lead us to something that will ever be with us. Because these words have come not because of any theory, It has come from his experience. By constant practice, the duration of the stillness is increased until at last it becomes permanent. It is an assurance to all of us. Because he experimented. When we go through the In Quest of God outpourings, we find even after so much of detachment, dispassion, practice, meditation, inward journey, solitude, still there were so many waverings apparently. And how finally everything got solved. So one day, 2 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, no. We have found from his experience. So we have to steadfastly, repeatedly, regularly, consistently, perseveringly, we have to keep on with this practice. Slowly. One day we get something, we immediately stop it. We start talking about it, that's all. No. Going deeper. It has not been stabilized. It has to be stabilized. It has not been stabilized. It has to be stabilized. Like that we keep on repeating it, auto-suggestions. This is the path he has said. Tomorrow we will go a little more deeper into his thoughts on inward journey. Anyway, we should all be reveringly remembering him, how he takes us inward, how he brings out all his teachings. And it touches our heart because it has come from his very experience, not theory, not scriptural, textual knowledge. It is from his very experience. Hari Om.
What is the acid test to know that
whether the mind is acid test is whether the mind is steady. If during or after the chanting, if the mind, when the slow chanting, when the chanting stops, what do we experience? That is the acid test. Every day morning, Papa is showing us here. After the 7:15, when the last final Nama chanting, mental chanting stops, everybody is initiated into the chamber, at least for a quarter of a second or a second.
Yes, sir.
That is why everybody is joining, taste. Rest of the time we are trying in congregational meet and all those things. It may not be effective. But during these moments, there is a conscious effort on our part to have a glimpse of the core of our being. It is not anything we are asking from outside. There no idol, no Ishtadevata, no Guru, nothing. Only the sound and the sense of individuality. And the sound slowly tunes and it stops. So we are all deeply grateful to him. He is taking us. So let us try to pray deep within us. Please let the tempo not be slackened. Let it be a spirited tempo. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram.